Hello, I'm your host Jim McClean. Welcome back to another episode of the Banterflix Movie Review Show. Let's see what movies we'll be talking about tonight. We'll be reviewing Tron ARES, which is out in cinemas now. Our pick of the streams is Monster, the Ed Gein Story on Netflix. And our DVD of the week is Jacob's Ladder, which has been re-released to celebrate its 35th anniversary. So that's what we've lined up for you this week. Joining me in the studio here in Belfast is the lovely Danny Brown.
Hello, Jim.
And Phil Higginson.
Hi, Jim.
Hello to you both, guys. We have a load of things we're going to try and get through this week, so let's kick things off with a bit of movie news.
You know, I've been thinking about the show. For the next 30 days, everyone in the country is trying to murder me. And that's crazy, right?
People on these games never come back.
We have no choice. We need money for a doctor now.
Welcome to the Running Man. Contestants will be hunted for 30 days. Anyone can kill you.
Hunt them down!
Survive, and you will walk away with $1 billion.
So that's a look at the trailer for The Running Man. Latest trailer dropped earlier in the week. Edgar Wright taking over directorial duties on this project. It's been long in gestation for quite some time. I do have a bit of nostalgia for the Arnold Schwarzenegger original. Danny, you excited about this? Are you going to be seeing this when it hits the cinemas later this month?
Absolutely. I mean, Edgar Wright, you know, he's one of my directorial faves, so I'll be 100% there opening weekend.
Yeah, I'm intrigued because I think it's kind of Edgar Wright kind of slightly going out of his comfort zone, but still from the trailer it looks very much like an Edgar Wright project. Phil, what about you? Are you tempted by this? Do you have a love for the Schwarzenegger original, for its kind of campy, over the top style? And yeah, the less said about some of Arnie's kind of catchphrase in that movie, the better. But are you a fan of the original and are you excited for this?
I love the original. I think it's hard to beat a Schwarzenegger classic, but I think Edgar Wright's proved he's got action chops from World's End, Shaun of the Dead, Baby Driver. So I think he's well placed to direct The Running Man. I'm very excited about it.
Now, talking of action men, Phil, you got very excited. Now, just before we started to record, there's someone in Belfast that you're very excited about. So you can tell our viewers who it is. You've messaged them, and right now, as we record, we'll allow you, normally we say phones off, but we'll allow you at this moment just to check your phone if this top-tier celeb has responded.
I haven't looked yet. I'll save that as a wee surprise for myself as well. Frank Grillo, noted action man himself, is in Belfast. I'm a huge fan of his particular brand of serious action, serious tough man action. Let's find out.
Yeah.
He has not replied to my message yet.
And what did you message, Phil?
I told him that we were working on a film review show, followed up by a podcast. If he wanted to come and be a guest, he was more than welcome.
If you watch this afterwards, you're welcome anytime down, Frank. No, not a worry. So yeah, so unfortunately, maybe as the show goes on, we will maybe come back to you before we wrap up the show. Danny, I know we're going to move on to a few other things, but some things that has caught your attention. I know there was a bit of sad news just as we started recording. I know you wanted to mention, but also there's some other bits of movie news you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, the sad news is Drew Struzan, poster illustrator of, you know, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, the Muppets movie, has sadly passed away. So yeah, want to just rest in peace.
Iconic posters. When we think about
they're
them.
Incredible. You know, they're just, even if you don't know the name Drew Struzan, you'll know his posters. They're just synonymous with cinema. But in other news, good news, indifferent news, it depends your take. M. Night Shyamalan is doing a movie based on the Magic 8 Ball. And yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't know, I enjoyed Trap. And I was, what was it, Old? Was that the beach one? But yeah, I don't know. It could be fun. I think Trap was a lot of fun. Maybe this could be fun too.
Danny, in your hearts of hearts, do you believe the 8-Ball movie is going to be the next Barbie.
No, but it could be the next The Monkey.
When it's good M. Night, it's good M. Night. But when it's bad M. Night, it's bad M. Night. You know, we can all agree on that. But look, those are things that are still to come. I think we shall move on and talk about a film, well, normally we all would have seen.
I would like you to meet ARES, the ultimate soldier. He's biblically strong, lightning fast, supremely intelligent. And if he is struck down on the battlefield, I will simply make you another.
You think you're in control of this? You're not.
So that's a look at Tron ARES. It's out in cinemas now. The long belated sequel we've all been crying out for, following up from Tron Legacy, from the original Tron as well. Quite a few cast members are back from, well, the original film. Well, I say it, quite a few of them. One, Jeff Bridges, and it's not a spoiler. He's in it very, very fleetingly, but he is there in the opening credits. His name is heavily mentioned. We have new cast members as well coming back, and we have the lovely Jared Leto, whatever way we're going to go with. Now, Danny, normally I would come to you at this point and say, what did you think of the film? You've been a busy boy, so you've missed this. So do you have anything to say to our viewers? I feel like the teacher at school. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
I'm sorry, sir. My dog ate it. Yeah, you know what? I didn't get a chance to go to the cinema to watch it.
Did you look at the trailer and just go, no?
No, what happened was I had planned to, and then other stuff got in the way. But what I did do was I went on Disney Plus and I watched the exclusive look, which I think basically gave me the whole movie, to be honest. Like, so I'd seen the trailer, I watched the exclusive first look. It's the bit where Evan Peters is like, oh, we're gonna 3D print Tron. And I was like, okay, there's 3D printing Tron. I've never seen any Tron movie, so I just assume they've taken the Tron peoples out of Tron and are putting them in the real world, and now they have to fight them because the Tron peoples are mad. But Jared Leto's kind of like, I'm an okay Tronman. I'm also named after a god of war, so, you know, it's going to be cool. And also 9 Inch Nails. Whoa! So, you guys can convince me. Should I commit? I don't know. I was sitting watching, I was kind of like, I don't know. I want to watch, I've always meant to watch Tron. I just haven't got around to it.
Now, Danny, first and foremost, I love your synopsis. I don't think anything else needs to be said. There's things I think are wrong about that synopsis, but we'll not pull on that thread just too much. But from that sneak peek, which I'm imagining maybe about 5-6 minutes, even if that, did you want to go out with your hard-earned cash and watch Tron ARES on the big screen?
No, I'm probably going to wait till it comes on Disney Plus.
Okay, that's okay. Phil, you and I have seen this in the cinema. I've literally just came from the cinema after watching it. I'm still kind of mulling over on my thoughts. It has had a bit of a kick-in from critics. It seems to looking at, and it's not the fountain of all knowledge, but Rotten Tomatoes, it seems to be getting more of a kick-in from critics, but slightly higher reception or better reception from audiences. It's what, 180 million to make. I think so far it's got about 60 million. So it does have a lot of money to make back its numbers. Phil, unlike Danny, you've watched the film.
I have.
Have you watched the previous entries in the Tron franchise? Are you a fan of this series? Were you those, I will not say keyboard warriors, but were you those people calling out for a third installment in the series?
I don't like the original Tron very much, but I very much enjoyed 2010's Tron Legacy. I didn't think prior to seeing this that we needed a third one. I didn't think there's anything else to be said. Having said that, I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I went in wanting a 2-hour-long 9 Inch Nails music video, and I got that. I think they should just keep this franchise going and give it to different electronic music artists. I thought it was great fun. Now, I'm a sucker for that sort of 80s retro-futuristic, neon-drenched aesthetic, and electronic music and 9 Inch Nails especially. So it kind of felt made for me in those ways. I do see why it's getting such a critical kicking, because the plot's paper thin, the characters are scarcely written. It's not saying anything that a million other sci-fis haven't said. But if you just want to switch your brain off for 2 hours, watch the pretty colours, try to pretend Jared Leto's not in it, it's a lot of fun. You should see it in the cinema.
Okay.
You need the sound system and the biggest screen possible.
Okay.
Because just feeling the 9 Inch Nails in your bones is brilliant.
I would agree with everything you say about the 9 Inch Nails aspects, because we think that the previous film Legacy had Daft Punk, and it's a score I still listen to and love. That film, and I know we want to review Tron ARES, we don't want to review Tron Legacy. That film itself, the things I remember from that is the soundtrack. Here, I'm going to remember the 9 Inch Nails soundtrack longer than I will the film. Yeah, as you mentioned, it's paper thin. There's everything we've seen before. There's hints of the Matrix in there. You've all those kind of big classic sci-fi. AI is in there. It's very much kind of in the zeitgeist right now as we await our future AI overlords. You know, remember we were here, we bigged you up. But there's nothing in terms of the actual plot. You mentioned it's paper thin. And my problem, you mentioned, we have Jared Leto, whatever we want to call him, who's someone who's produced it. He is a producer in this and has given himself this central role. He just doesn't have the charisma. And I don't know, I mean, I have seen Jared Leto be good and stuff. I've seen him be terrible and stuff. But here, he never grabbed my attention. And when you're the central character, I think that is a flaw. Now, I agree with everything you said about the soundtrack. Great soundtrack. I think I wanted more than a 2-hour 9 Inch Nails extravaganza, because I'd rather go see 9 Inch Nails in concert for over 2 hours. But Danny, now, you've seen the sneak peek.
Yep.
You're not promising us you're going to go see this in the big screen. You're going to wait it for, you've already kind of hinted that you're going to wait for this to be on streaming platforms, because that's the thing. A lot of people do this now when they know it's a Disney product. They know that it will eventually come up onto that streaming service. Do you feel you've dodged a bullet listening to us both tonight, or maybe do you think we need to give Jared Leto a bit of love?
I don't think we need to give Jared Leto any love. The rest of the cast, yeah. But the rest of the cast deserves some love, and I do think, you know, you should 100% support movies and go to the cinema. I just haven't had a chance. And yeah, it's just one of those ones. I think for now, there's other films I want to see in the cinema more, so I'll go see them first, and I'll wait, and I'll maybe do a triple bill of Tron when it comes on Disney Plus. Because as I say, I haven't seen any of them, so I might just triple bill it one day, and maybe I'll enjoy it more because I'll just do like a consistent run, so it feels like a nice, consistent story. I hope.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So you get round to watching it. And on that note, we're talking about streaming. We will move on and look at something that's available online.
What shocks you most about him? How did he do it? What was his childhood like? I'd like to show you something worse.
So that's a look at Monster, the Ed Gein story. We are in spooky season, as we mentioned last week, so we thought we'd throw in some horror into the mix throughout October. We're doing something slightly different. We haven't done this on the show before, where we've looked at a long-form storytelling, where we've got a series. Now, for this, I think there's 9 episodes in total of this latest installment in the Monster series, if that's what we want to call it. We've seen previous entries on Netflix, but we have specifically looked at the first 2 episodes. Danny, you didn't do your homework for Tron ARES, but I know you've seen the entirety of this run, so it'll be interesting to see what you think. Phil, I'm going to come to you first. So this is the latest installment, as we mentioned, in this Monster series that's looking at serial killers. Now, this is probably, for me, the most expansive of what we've seen so far in terms of its various timelines and what it tries to do. have you seen any of the previous installments within this?
I haven't.
And are you a fan? Because serial killer dramas, they're so hot right now. They seem to find an audience. I am not personally a fan of them. I find them really depressing, and I'll say that right from the cards. This is no exception to that rule. But what do you think of the first 2 episodes is what we can really talk about here?
Well, this wouldn't have been something I'd really have chosen to watch. I think it's kind of weird and gross when it's. I like horror, but I like my horrors to be fictional. When it's a true story, it's a bit seedy. So I don't know much either about the true story of this, but I didn't enjoy it. I liked elements of it. I liked what they're doing with his hallucinations and trying to create this kind of through line of what's in his head, what's real. And I quite liked Charlie Hunnam's performance. I found him off-putting, but clearly that was intentional. So I thought he hit the nail on the head there.
There is interesting things there, but I do find it actually really problematic that they do make those connections with, particularly when we think of Ed Gein in this and Anthony Perkins, two different people who have, without going too much, have their secrets, their inner turmoils. They're very different things, and I find that I understand what they're trying to do. I just don't think it works, and I'm really uncomfortable with it, if I'm honest, in what they're trying to do and make those connections. I think there's probably like 2 or 3 different dramas in there, like talking about, and we've already had that. We've had a movie about Hitchcock making Psycho. We've seen the Ed Gein Story before. We've had stuff like Ty West's X, which is very kind of loosely kind of showing kind of the making of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Interesting story. I just don't know. It wasn't for me. The previous entries in this, we mentioned Evan Peters in the Richard Dahmer. They're not for me, but yet my lovely wife loves them. Danny, I know, and this is a point, of course, we always bring up, you're from the Fright Club, and I know you like more than just horror movies. You have seen this in its entirety. So both Phil and I are a bit lukewarm on this. I think I have 1 or 2 episodes left to go. I'm still not sold. I still find it really depressing and want to watch the Muppets after each episode. What do you think?
I thought about this for a couple of days after, and it's because of how uncomfortable it made me as well. It's one of those ones, as Phil said, it's glorifying something that happened, but it's not only doing that, it's adding a lot of like just fiction and speculation and stuff that was never founded. The Ed Gein case is monstrous enough without adding to it, and then also something that Ryan Murphy is just very guilty of is making things stupid sexy. And it doesn't work whenever you're making programs that are based on real life serial killers and crimes. Like even with the Jeffrey Dahmer stuff and then the show, I watched all the Jeffrey Dahmer one. I didn't finish the one about the 2 brothers. I got a bit bored. And then this one I did watch all of, but it works for American Horror Story. It doesn't really work for Monster for me. It's just like you don't need to make it sexy. It's again, there's no need, and you can't. And there's an episode beyond that just goes a bit kind of like, right, this I'm very uncomfortable now with where this is going. There's enough in reality that they could have worked with that they didn't need to. And again, I do think the narratives around the filmmakers being influenced for Psycho, for Texas Chainsaw, for Silence of the Lambs are interesting. But again, as you say, the connections that they try to make are too awkward. And it just, it didn't really work for me. And I kind of afterwards was just kind of like, no, I think they need to put the monster stuff to bed now.
Well, they're obviously not, because there's going to be another one next year, and I think it does that. I know the producers, the directors always talk, they try to get that fine line of, we're not trying to get you to sympathize with these people, but we're trying to get you to empathize and understand what's going on inside their heads. And this is my issue, and I know we're spending probably far too much time on this, but I look at something like Mindhunter. I always prefer when it is looking at these kind of ghastly, horrible, disturbing cases when it's the police work that brought them down, as opposed to, and I know there's people that will be interested in that. That's why, as I mentioned, I love Mindhunter and stuff like that. And I know hopefully, I think it has been confirmed or hinted at that that is coming back, albeit in movies as opposed to a drama. But yet, and I know I have to move on, but that didn't find the audience that Netflix wanted. But yet, here is, as you've put it, Danny, sexy serial killers will find an audience. So again, mixed feelings towards that. Let's move on and wrap up this week's show with our DVD of the week.
Jake, how come you're so tense today? What? I had a weird flash just then. They're like demons, Jess. I'm scared, Jake. I've seen him too. I thought I was the only one. I need to see Dr. Carlson, please.
I'm sorry, there's no record of a Jacob Singer in our files.
What happened that night? They're coming after me. Who is?
So that's a look at Jacob's Ladder. It's been re-released on DVD and Blu-ray to celebrate its 35th anniversary. That does make me feel quite old. Same director as Fatal Attraction, the lovely Tim Robbins. This time he's not trying to escape Shawshank. He's trying to escape his own personal demons from Vietnam. Danny, had you seen this before we asked you to review it? And the key thing I will say at this point is I actually had to text you both because I had blind panic over the weekend because I know there's a remake of Jacob's Ladder. And I was terrified that one of you would come in and say, oh, I watched the remake as opposed to the Tim Robbins original. So had you seen this before we asked you to watch it for the show?
No, this was the first time viewing for me. And luckily for you, whenever you actually Google it, it is mainly the Tim Robbins one that like comes up
There's
straight away first.
There's a reason for that, Danny.
So, yeah. I haven't even watched the remake, but I can already kind of pick up the vibe. Yeah. But no, this was first time watch for me, and I really enjoyed it. I think overall, like performances, especially Tim Robbins, is just fantastic. Like he always is. He's also really tall. There's something about this movie that makes you kind of realize how tall he is. That I was like, you're a big man. But yeah, it's one of those ones again. Just going from the Ed Gein stuff to this, it's a properly well done psychological thriller, you know. And I think overall, it was one of those ones where I'd be kind of watching and be like, right, this is where it's going. You know, it's a PTSD story, and then, oh, actually no, maybe it's a supernatural hell story, and it just kind of kept me thinking the whole way through. And then come the end, I was a bit like, oh, okay then.
It's a very downbeat, depressing ending, and I know it's a film that's 35-year-old. We're not going to spoil it here on the show this week. I remember watching this when I was far too young, and there's imagery in it, and there's certain scenes. There's a scene where they're at a house party, and it's kind of, you start to see flashes of demonic presences and things going on, and what's real and what's not. And genuinely, when I was younger, that terrified me, it creeped me out. There's certain sequences in particular that. Watching it now as a supposed adult, I still think those hold up, and I think it's because a lot of the effects were done as practically as they could, and I think that's still a testament. I've always said this, I love 90s cinema. A couple of weeks ago we were talking about Hackers. I don't think this is a quintessential 90s movie, but there's just something about it. Tim Robbins, as you mentioned, Danny, is great in that role of someone who's fragile, and you can see that kind of sense that they're losing their grip on reality. It's, you know, we've alluded to it, you know, it's very much an anti-drugs movie, looking at kind of, I guess you could allude into that, leaning into the military as well. It opens with a pretty graphic sequence at Vietnam. There is repercussions in that, and I guess as unspoilerifically as we can be, that sense of government experimenting on its soldiers during Vietnam, and there's some mention of that in the closing credits. Yeah, I do like this. Rewatching it, I think it stands the test of time. I am a big fan of the director. Phil, for you, had you seen this before we asked you to watch it? Importantly, again, I was very forceful that we watch the original, not the remake.
I seen this when I was a teenager, and it terrified me. And I'm happy to say that as an adult, it continues to terrify me. I think you've hit the nail on the head about the practical effects. I think as well, so often you only see the scary thing for long enough to think, what am I looking at? And then it's gone. And you're just left with this kind of lingering worry that you've seen something wrong. If I had to describe this in a word, I'd say it's disorienting. You're constantly unsure if what you're seeing is real, if it's hallucination, if it's something outright supernatural. It keeps you on the back foot constantly. You're never quite sure what's happening. And it's amazing, again, without spoiling, for something that tells you very directly and bluntly multiple times what's happening, it maintains an incredible amount of ambiguity to it about what you're actually seeing. And is it real? Is it supernatural? Is it in his head? It's never quite satisfactorily answered, but I love that about it. And Tim Robbins, of course, the most likeable everyman ever. Him being just such an all-round nice guy, just well-humoured. Just, you feel so much worse for him the whole way through. These terrible situations he finds himself in.
Yeah, it's a bleak movie. It's a bleak movie to end the show on, but I think it is well worth a watch. Now, we are going to wrap up this week's show. I know we mentioned at the start with movie news. It would be remiss of us at this stage. Over the weekend, we had the sad news that Diane Keaton had passed away at the age of 79, I believe, off the top of my head. I know we have to wrap up the show, but I just wanted to, before we go, just show a little bit of Diane Keaton in action in Annie Hall.
Hi. Hi.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Well, bye.
You play very well.
Oh, yeah? So do you. Oh, God, what a dumb thing to say, right? I mean, you say it, you play well, and then right away I have to say you play well. Oh, God, Annie. Well, oh, well. La-di-da, la-di-da, la-la, yeah.
You want a lift?
Oh, why? You got a car?
No, I was gonna take a cab.
Oh, no, I have a car.
You have a car? So, I don't understand. If you have a car, so then why did you say, do you have a car, like you wanted a lift?
I don't know. I wasn't, I got this VW out there. What a jerk, yeah.
So that's a little bit of Diane Keaton in Annie Hall. I know we're pushed for time. Gents, fan of the actor, any work for you? Because it's weird, I mean, you look at the comments, she was an actress, her work kind of transcended. There is the likes of that impressive back catalogue with Woody Allen. Then we have this more recent stuff like The First Wives, and I say more recent stuff, First Wives Clubs, etc., and things like that. She was an actor who popped up in films, always worthwhile a watch, and just seems to quote my late father, it just seemed like an all-round good spud in every possible way. I know a couple of people that I know from New York who live near just said she was absolutely lovely. She was the person who you saw being interviewed off screen. That's the person that she was when you met her. But for you guys, I know we're going to wrap up. Any notable roles? Danny, I'll come to yourself first.
It's got to be Annie Hall. You know, that's whenever you said about, you know, we're going to talk about this before it came on. I was like, straight away, Annie Hall. Yeah.
Yeah. Phil?
As with yourselves, I only really know her from her work with Woody Allen. So it's a bit of a cop-out, but also Annie Hall.
Yeah, and as I said, I know my lovely wife, we sat down shortly after we heard the news and we had to watch First Wives Club because that's the film that she loves. Now, we are going to wrap up, but Phil, have we any update, more importantly?
Let's find out. It's the most exciting part of my day. And he's too busy to come, but he has replied, and he's too busy.
Well, maybe next week, Frank. Thank you very much. So look, I said maybe next week, sitting in the chair, we might have Frank Grillo. We don't know. Well, maybe we'll chance her, and we'll get you to message him after the show. So that's us, pretty much out of time. So all that's left for me to do now is thank my guests. So thank you very much, Danny.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks very much, Phil.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks very much for watching at home. We'll be back next week with another episode. But for now, until then, goodbye.